I'm Natalie Blank and I'm a life coach who uses multiple methods to help people to live a better life. This week I want to talk about explanatory style, specifically how Martin Seligman talks about it. Now, Martin Seligman is like one of the grandfathers of positive psychology. He came up with the idea of learned helplessness and the opposite to that, which is learned optimism. So, explanatory style is how we explain things that happen to us, to ourselves. What are our thoughts about what happens and how do we explain it? Martin Seligman's main explanatory styles fall into three. Now, there are overlapping ways of explaining this, but I'm going to go over the main concepts and then in another lot of videos I'll talk about other ways they overlap. There are three ways of explaining how and why things happen to us. One of them is personalization, one of them is permanence, and one of them is pervasiveness. So personalization is obviously the thing where we make it about ourselves. Permanence is about that it's gone wrong forever, and pervasiveness means that it's something that impacts every part of our lives. Martin Seligman's explanatory style of personalization is one where we make the whole thing about us. So we might, using the idea of somebody doing bad in a maths test, they might decide to believe the maths teacher doesn't like me and that's why I got a bad mark. Or I'm terrible at maths, I can't do it, and it's about making it all about the self and that it's something that nobody else struggles with. Now, we all know with math that lots of people struggle with it, but for young people especially, and I have used this example teaching young people about this idea, personalization is where you think you're the only one that has the problem. You're the only one that's facing this problem or idea or issue. And so you don't feel like you can get help, you don't feel like anybody else will understand you, all of these things. Permanence, as far as Martin Seligman describes it, is the idea that if you're bad at something or something goes wrong once, or you can't do it once, therefore you can't do it forever. So it's very much about a fixed mindset idea that, like I talk about in other videos, if you go badly in a math test, then therefore you will always be bad at math. And this is a story a lot of people tell themselves when it comes to math in particular, but oftentimes with other school things as well, and other things in life. So if we're thinking about something going wrong, or like you start a new hobby, you try a new hobby and you don't get it right the first time and suddenly you're like, I can't do this, I'll never be able to do it. That is permanence, and thinking negatively about permanence. Martin Seligman's idea of pervasiveness is the idea that when something goes wrong, it's going to impact every part of our lives. So one instance that we might all be able to understand is the idea that when you're at school, you might get a bad grade in one subject, say math. Math is something that not everybody struggles with, but a lot of people do. So you get a bad mark in math. And for some people, the immediate thing that happens is they either think, I'm bad at all of math, or I'm just bad at school. Now that is pervasiveness at its core. It's making the whole thing, or even I'm terrible at everything and my life is ruined forever because I got this bad mark. Okay, so that is pervasiveness. How can knowing this information about Martin Seligman's explanatory styles help you? It's helped me a lot. I've read his book, Learned Helplessness, multiple times. He's got a little test in there about optimism and pessimism, and each time I've done it I've come up as more optimistic, having started in a very pessimistic place with my explanatory style. Now, this information can help you by helping you become aware of what types of thoughts you are having. If your explanatory style is very negative, which is another set I'll get into, if it's very negative and you are explaining it as a personalized, permanent and pervasive, you're not going to feel like you can get out of it. Now, I'm not saying you can immediately change those thoughts. However, the best thing for you to do is to start to recognize your thoughts. When you're feeling down, take a moment to remember what thought you had. What thought did you have about that? And then work out, is it personal? Is it pervasive? Is it permanent? That's the first step to fixing this. If you're struggling emotionally or finding things difficult in life, please feel free to get in touch, and I would love to help.